Go hug the teddy bear, Steve. Steve, let me deal with this. So, Sean, what explains...
Well, you've been dealing with
what
it
explains...
for 15
No,
minutes.
Steve, go back to Darth, Steve.
You did
go
just say that most of Sean's beliefs are false.
Steve, no, Steve.
No?
Bad Steve. So, Sean, where are you?
You know what? I find
Oh, Sean left.
Say something and then a minute later lie about it. I find that fascinating.
Or did Sean rage quit?
He did.
Epic.
Well, he might have caught that inevitable bail.
Damn, Maggie,
Like,
I
we
just
knew-
lost all respect for you. Well, a lot of respect for you. Not all, just a lot.
Cool.
I can't believe you said one thing and a minute later just lied about it.
Are you gonna go hug Darth now?
Why would I do that, Maggie?
You sound a lot like him. Because he loves you.
Really? He refuses to talk to me. That's quite a showing of love.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've invited Darth on my show all the time. I've agreed to debate with him. He refuses to talk to me.
He does what he does out of love, Steve.
I see.
He wants to save you from eternal damnation.
Me. Hold on, Darth is anyone friends with Sean? Can see if it's...
Yeah, I gotta tell you, Maggie, I don't think you could find 10 other people. In fact, I don't think you could find 2 other people in this room that agree with you.
I agree with Maggie. He loves you, Stevie.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I was wrong. Darth loves me.
Yeah. In fact, there's a room open right now. You should go talk to him.
He's trying to bring you to God to save your soul from damnation.
Godless? Serious question. Do you think Darth loves me? Serious. Does Darth love me?
Darth doesn't love anyone.
I'm asking Godless, but maybe she doesn't want to answer.
I think he's joking around, Steve.
I'm serious. Oh, but if it's a joke, you know what? Forget the whole thing. You're right. Maggie was making a joke. Maggie was lying as a ha-ha. Okay. I'll know that for the future. Good.
Yeah, it seems like Sean doesn't exist at all anymore.
Yeah, but I exist, and now I know that Maggie's joking. Maggie is not serious, and I won't take anything Maggie says seriously in the future ever again.
Cool. Holy shit, Steve. Now you can clean your elastic ass.
Well, I may be an asshole, but what did I say that wasn't true?
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm the big asshole, but Maggie is the one that's joking and lying. Okay.
W. Steve holding everyone in 4K.
Steve, you don't see the irony in him saying that Darth shows love? I mean, come on. He's goofing.
Yes, and he's goofing. That's right.
Good. Now we can move on.
Yes, let's. What should we move on to?
How are you justified in believing in anything, Steve?
Well, when someone says one thing and 60 seconds later lies about it, I believe they're a liar.
What is this boomer raging about?
Hey, dude just asked me a question. I gave an answer.
Don't start on boomers, man.
You want me to joke? You want me to joke about it? I mean, you want me to joke and bullshit? Okay.
But hasn't everybody done that? So everybody is a liar. So you're not saying anything interesting, right?
Hey, Godless, I'll flip the switch right now.
What's that mean?
Well, that means, for example, I'm with a millennial who's not polyamorous, in an exclusive relationship, and doesn't want to have kids. And my friend is sitting literally 6 feet across the desk from me right now.
Thanks,
Wait,
Chris.
what question are you answering?
Excuse me?
What question were you just answering? Sorry, I was...
Oh, no, that's okay, Godless. I don't remember. I'm having so much fun, I can barely concentrate.
Wait,
are you upset about something?
No, I just flipped the switch, Godless. You said, what does that mean? So I just gave you an example. I'm not upset. I'm having a good time. In fact, I've got the triple M's. I've got Marlboros, I've got Modelo, and I've got marijuana.
Triple M means Michael motherfucking McDonald, Steve.
Negro Modelo is better, Steve.
Ah, love that. Mongo like candy.
Why are we listening to this?
Because it's fun.
Okay.
It's a flipping of the switch.
Yeah.
Why are you guys yanking fucking Steve's chain?
Yeah, that's right. I love when my chain is yanked. You ask for it, you get it, baby.
Cringe.
Oh, come on. You can take it. You're tough.
It's like when your parents dance in front of you.
Exactly.
Yay!
Hooyah!
All the non-boomers are getting a bit of a cringe, feeling a bit cringy, right?
Well, when the switch flips, the people will cringe. Ah!
What the fuck?
What the fuck?
When I
Steve
suck,
is not only good evidence that P-zombies are conceivable, he's also good evidence that they actually exist.
Exactly.
Do you have any
I'm glad you admit it without your phenomenal states.
Because I love that shit. That's why I admit it.
when I suck Steve's cock, he is a no. He is the type of guy that says, "Keep your hands off my balls."
Steve, I want to see a picture of your butthole with your balls in view and you looking back.
I know you do. I've known that for a while.
And I want you to have a little bit of cream in there too.
Of course. What would balls and ass be without cream?
I want it to be leaking.
I know.
I want your asshole to be elastic.
Exactly.
I want it to be opened up.
Get in there all the way.
Who thought this would happen?
I'm going to go ahead and go back down to the audience.
Oh, are you sure?
Get on board.
Are you getting this, Tom Rabbit?
Steve,
You know,
Yeah. What?
Steve, I just want you to keep coming
I know you do.
and coming and coming, and every time you come, your anus is going to contract, dilate. It's going to dilate until it's the aperture of a pinhole. That's how tight I want your asshole.
I know. I know.
Now, come on, Daddy's face.
Exactly.
Steve, I want you to nut on Daddy Dick.
I know that too.
Steve, I want you to...
More. Give it to me. I want to hear it all.
Steve, I want to slap my little dick on your little boy.
I know you do. I know you do.
I want
Steve,
And trust me, when you go to sleep tonight, you're going to dream about me. So you got something to look forward to.
Steve, I want to shit.
I
in a
know.
glass.
I love it when
No.
a whole room of people want me.
I want to shit in a glass.
I
of
know
ice
you do. I know you
So
do.
that you can jerk off.
No, I don't need to do that.
Steve, I want to suck the shit out your toe.
No shit. I know that.
Steve, I want Tom Rabbit to send you a t-shirt.
That's the one thing I wasn't going to bring up. Yeah. Someone had to spoil it. Okay. I wasn't going to bring up the fact that I still haven't gotten my t-shirt. Not a problem.
Everyone else has.
Bring that up. It's okay. I get it.
I want to be the only one in your life.
That's what we stop. Just that weird pause.
I want to be the one that you
Oh my God, fucking with this guy.
I want to be.
He does a great show. He's fucking funny, and everyone's being a pest. Leave the guy alone.
I just want him to know that he has a shoulder to cry on if he ever needs.
That's lovely.
And a dick to ride on if he needs it.
So is Sean's account completely gone? Is he completely?
I looked for it and couldn't find it.
Oh,
Picked
no
him up. Oh, they're pretty quick about it.
Wait, that quick? What did he do?
Did he delete it himself, you think?
No way. There's no way he would just delete it himself.
And
I think they swooped in and got him.
Multiple terroristic threats. Like, I don't. Of course they're gonna.
Oh shit, that means that the replay, like when I end the room, the replay won't get saved. I think I really want to go back and record it and put it on my channel.
fuck.
Oh, I'm sure somebody has the replay.
Is Daz here? Daz is here. Daz, are you recording that shit?
Recording this shit.
You could just beep out, like, when he says he's gonna pop Mo's eyes out or whatever, you could just beep it out on the recording and put it on the channel.
Wait, what was
Good.
So funny.
I don't have it, but I'm sure somebody does, don't worry.
what was Sean talking about? Like, why was everybody jumping on him?
Is there a guy called Pete in the audience?
Yeah, he's there. He's always fucking.
He could possibly have it.
Ariana, did you record?
No,
Fuck.
What were you guys talking about?
but the replays.
Sean thought he knew what his name was.
The replays are on. Why,
Yeah,
why would
but if somebody reported him, then the replay doesn't get saved. The Clubhouse deletes the replay.
Where did that go?
That day you told Shameless you were going to rape his mom, the replays were on, but that didn't get saved because Clubhouse deleted it.
Yeah, based.
No, I heard that replay. I heard it. I don't know when they deleted it, but it was sometime later because I heard the.
I tried to go back and get it, I couldn't.
Did you bring out the boomer remover, Daniel?
You would have been long gone if you did, John.
I'm not quite a boomer. Steve definitely is. No, how many times did you report Sean during that conversation?
Boom is anyone over 30, John. What are you talking?
I hope Sean comes back. I hope he's not like gone from Clubhouse forever. I'll feel bad. I already feel bad.
He has ways of getting a new account.
It's okay, I mean,
We've got other accounts anyway.
Sean is just our friend, you know. Shouldn't piss on him that.
I don't know why I took it so personally. It was just a friendly discussion.
Oh, that's his personality. He's pretty far.
He has a troubled life, maybe.
That long ass dick didn't have any.
Okay, someone kick Jordan. Jordan, why don't you debate? Stop being a pussy.
Well, that's the problem. I don't know how to stop being a pussy.
I have a feeling Tom's the only one that has this recorded.
Oh, it's. You know what? Tom might have it, yeah. Imagine. Sorry, guys. I was
Philip
away.
Jackson. This guy, Philip Jackson, is a nightmare.
James, did you get to see the Sean meltdown?
Yeah, were you guys doing the "you don't exist" argument, and he was arguing against that?
Yeah, he doesn't. We were saying he doesn't know what his name is.
Yo, when he powder kegged, what happened? What the fuck did I miss?
If you thought anything of an argument me and Mo had a few weeks ago was even remotely bad, this was like 1,000 times higher. Like, he threatened to do things to Mo that would be on like an American Horror Story.
What did he say to Mo?
Said he was going to 69 him.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. No, it's not
He said he was gonna squeeze his neck until his eyeballs popped out.
What did he do?
It's like
Yeah, I love.
Tom, you weren't recording, were
The thing
you?
is, Sean has to fold.
No, man, I wasn't even
in
here.
order to say-
Oh shit! Sean had a meltdown. He lost his account too.
Oh, the replay's gone then.
Yeah.
You guys know that if you're using Club Deck, you just hit a button that says record. You know that, right?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm always on my
top.
phone though.
Super easy. Although I don't ever use it because I'm never sitting still, but it's easy like Tom said.
No, but Pete is in the audience, and he's always recording, so we might have something.
Oh, hey, John, I've got face paint on in my photo. If you would like to see
I
it,
noticed.
examine it as well, buddy.
But I mean, it's possible that I was recording. You know? Well, it's not really. You and Daz weren't here. It's not really something that I would want from my channel, but
Can I please have it?
maybe it's valuable to somebody else.
That must just
Maybe.
sound like the little kid at Christmas. Can I please have this?
What's it worth to you, Godless?
I don't know if you'd be interested in this, but I might have an exchange for you. I don't know if you'd value it or not.
Interesting, very interesting.
Tell us all.
So you might find some interesting lost footage, content for your channel of Darth Dawkins, because so Nadia, all her shit is not the hangouts with Darth in them. They're all unlisted, and I have the links to a lot of them with Darth in them, like talking to Jack and stuff.
Would she give you the links?
No, so what I did was I looked at my liked video history one time, and I went back and bookmarked all the hangouts that might have been interesting.
Well, that's interesting.
Why wouldn't she make them public?
Yeah, actually, I don't remember why she unlisted them all, but actually the most viewed video on my channel is just a recording of Nadia's hangout where Jack was like attacking Darth for an hour. But it's also a pain in the ass to like, comb through the footage to find good stuff. Yeah. But did you record though?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. That was epic.
Very nasty. You're getting nasty.
Hey, John, and I got this face paint at a church event. I painted my face, and my daughter painted hers as well.
Yeah, looks pretty hard.
You look a bit like Mike Tyson, James.
Well, she really wanted me to do the unicorn, and I thought about it just because it's my daughter. But then I'm like, okay, I would like to show John what an actual photo of me in face paint looks like, but I'm definitely not going to send him the unicorn one. So I did. We had her do this one, and she got like a real pretty structure thing. But I don't share her photos on Clubhouse because of some of the trolls.
Should have got the barb on your arm as well.
No, that's silly. George Carlin has a great bit about that. People who get a barbed wire tattoo on their arm, he calls it a painting. He goes, if you want to prove you're really tough, go out back, wrap the real thing around your arm really good and tight.
Anyone ever tell you you look like Bam Bam Bigelow, kinda? Without the tattoo.
dude, it does look like Bam Bam
I've
Bigelow.
heard that before. I'm not
Fucking looks
kidding.
identical, dude.
I've heard that before, yeah. But he was a really tough, amazing wrestler. So there's a lot worse people that you could be compared to than Bam Bam Bigelow.
No, I mean that as a compliment. I fucking love Bam Bam Bigelow, or I did love him when he was, doing his thing.
I would lean toward more like Big John Studd or.
Because Bam Bam Bigelow had this thing where he was wrestling Taz, and where they went through the ring, and then he slammed him with his back right on the crossbar, but then the Taz wrapped his arm in real barbed wire and choked him out, and they had to zoom out on the camera because of all the blood. It was a mess.
All right, so I do think that it's impossible that Shawn would have been kicked or banned so quickly. I mean, that takes at least 24 hours.
It doesn't take 24 hours, but I do think it wouldn't have happened this quickly. Maybe he deleted his account.
He probably deleted it.
Detroiter Arianis and I showed Shawn that he doesn't even know what his name is, and he had this meltdown and was making physical threats of violence that violated TOS, and now his account's gone.
Showed Shawn that what?
He can't know what his name is.
That Shawn doesn't know what Tatiana's name is?
Shawn doesn't know his own name.
Oh, okay.
My epistemological nihilist stuff.
Yeah. Wait, he actually left?
We don't know
got
if
banned,
he
probably.
deleted his account or if Clubhouse banned his account.
I predict they swooped him up.
Yeah, it's probably the latter.
I don't know
To be
about
honest,
that.
I don't get frustrated like Shawn does with that argument, but when I'm arguing with a nihilist and they're talking like they might not exist and they don't know I exist, I immediately get frustrated and end the conversation. So.
But hasn't Darth gotten banned in 10 minutes before?
Yeah, Darth got banned in 10 minutes. If you say the right thing, it triggers, especially if somebody reports it. I think they have certain things to escalate certain parts. That way, somebody couldn't be on their platform spending 10 hours talking about, murdering someone else.
Yeah. I went to go make something to eat, and then I actually heard Shawn yelling from across the house. I was in the kitchen and I heard I heard Shawn yelling, so it must have been pretty intense.
Well, Godless, if you like that sort of content, I actually have a video of Shawn and Sasha, and Shawn lost it against Biscuit as well. It's really funny.
Yeah, that's good.
I remember I have a video too of Shawn losing on me and throwing me off stage twice.
Shawn has this deep animosity toward Mo for some reason.
Mo kind of jabs at him here and there, and Shawn can't take.
Oh yeah, thanks, Des. I was actually there for that. But I was thinking of going back and recording the replay, but I didn't. I don't know. It was eventful enough. But if Tom sends me the Sean meltdown, it'll be funny because I have to like beep out some of what he said so it doesn't violate YouTube TOS. So it's gonna be like Sean's gonna be like Mo, and then it's gonna be beep beep beep, and then the eyes out of your head. The beep's gonna end. He's gonna eyes out of your head.
Oh my god, it was that bad.
Are you gonna include when him and Steve were having sex, like on the video?
The Steve Appel stuff was boring, I thought.
Well, I thought it just reached like a crazy level when Steve started talking to him about giving it to him or something. Maybe that was Daniel who was talking to Steve about that. Godless, I posted a video and it's getting me a lot of hate from Muslims right now.
Well, I'll check it out.
It's even like not even bad. I'm even getting like back channel messages about how dare I've been around Muslims for so long. I know that there's an argument for Islam, and they just hated it, and it was only about 30 seconds.
I actually thought it was really poorly done, James. In fact, I'm going to make the same video, but about Christianity.
You didn't think my editing was okay?
No, I thought your performance was just really poor.
What do you mean? I'm just curious. I knew you did production.
You gotta pizzazz it up a little bit. Like, you could have... You said too many words before the Rick Astley part, and then, like, with a mic drop, you should have got, like, some kind of mic to drop instead of, like, your iPhone mic. I was a little underwhelmed, I'll be honest.
No, that makes sense, because shorts, people want shorts to be yourself dialed up, and just because I'm a tired lame ass doesn't mean that I can't, like, dial that up. It's
for 1 minute, man, just 1 minute.
Like, I have a microphone. All I gotta do is, reach down and grab it. And I can agree.
Oh, hi, Sean. Is that you?
Yep.
Did you lose your other account?
I got banned.
Are you okay?
No. I just want you guys to understand the reason I flipped out wasn't because of your garbage argument. Is because this guy, this Mo guy, follows me around. He heckles me in the comments. He says, "Are you having a meltdown today?" Like, everyone knows that I kind of have like anger issues, and he harasses me in he sends me DMs telling me that I need mental help and that he's going to help me with my mental health and all this like creepy harassing shit. And so the fact that you guys like associate, like make him mods and let him like heckle me when I'm genuinely trying to have a conversation with you is like gross and disgusting, and he's a really bad person, and that's all I have to say about that.
Okay. Well, there's no hard feelings between us. I kind of feel bad actually.
Do you feel, Sean, like it's possible?
And don't take it personally, Sean, because I like do that shit to a lot of people.
I was gonna say, Sean, do you feel like it's possible that you're doing the same thing to John Lee, and maybe this experience with Mo and examining your own actions might cause you to take it easier on John?
No, I never question. I never harass him. I don't like send him messages. I don't like heckle him. I don't think it's the same thing at all.
John, do you think it's comparable heckling what Mo's done to Sean and Sean's done to you, or is it different?
I think he has.
I agree. He doesn't stalk me.
I think he has like. I think John has a weird psychology, but I never said that I don't have a weird psychology, or that there's something wrong with him, and that he needs mental help. And
that's not entirely true, Sean. There was that one night where we were psychoanalyzing John about sitting in his car, being on Clubhouse.
Yeah, but I don't follow him around and tell him every day that he's mentally ill and that he needs mental help. But I do think that your method of interrogation and this weird you didn't really provide an argument. Just you just kind of insulting me, godless. So you're kind of a piece of shit. But I probably wouldn't have insulted you as much if I didn't get so angry at Mo, just throwing his 2 cents in. Especially after all the shit that he literally has been following me around for weeks, doing this shit to me.
Is that true, Mo? Do you follow him?
No, I don't follow him. I mostly keep him.
Yeah, he blocks me and then he unblocks me to send me weird messages, and then he blocks me. He sends me weird messages and then he blocks me, so I can't get into rooms, and then he'll unblock me randomly, and then he'll start pestering me again and trying to undermine my mental health. So it's really weird. Fucked up. A lot of people Ton Locke, a ton of people don't like me. And I don't really have a problem with that, because I'm just here for discussions and stuff, right? But say it to my face, he unblocks me so I can get I don't know why you're typing. You're doing this weird thing where you're typing responses to me. I unblock him so he can get into GG rooms. What does that mean? You shouldn't block me anyway. You don't have anything to contribute to these discussions, Mo. Why do people give Mo mods? Why do they let him say fucked up shit to me all the time?
Well, I've never seen him abuse mods, so that's what I look for in a mod, is somebody who is really lenient and doesn't use their mods, because I don't really want my mods to use their mods.
But who is Mo to you? I don't understand. He's a relationship with him, you know him or something.
We're Clubhouse friends, but that's it.
I don't get it. What is Mo? I don't think it's fair to keep him out of Godless Girls' rooms.
Yeah, but Sean, we're Clubhouse friends too, and I used to give you mods, and then you abused them multiple times, and I gave them to you again, and then you admittedly just ask for mods so that you can kick. Who was it? James is tired.
Mo. It was fucking Mo.
Yeah. Oh yeah. One day you kicked him.
James?
Oh no, I just misremembered.
Daniel.
You asked me for mods for the stated reason where you said it was just so you could kick Mo when he hadn't even said anything to you that day.
I mean, I literally threatened to kill him, and nobody you think that's a joke, Daniel?
Oh, were you serious?
I didn't know that. I didn't know the extent of it. I didn't hear it. I don't know what happened.
I didn't think you were serious. It was a serious threat. I thought you just said it in anger. Are you saying you're really?
I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters whether it's a serious threat or not.
Was it?
But you're the one that just brought up.
Was it a joke?
No, but was there?
You're the one. But it doesn't matter why you bring it up, whether it was real or not.
What I mean is that it's fucked up, whether it's a joke or not. You fucking cunt! Jesus Christ! What is wrong with you? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Oh my God, Dan, are you recording?
No, stop, guys, stop.
Why do you want to just fucking record people? What the
fuck is wrong with you? You're fucking evil!
I didn't understand what you said were saying.
Come on, man.
I wasn't even doing that to like pester you just now. I really didn't understand what you were saying.
You people are just fucking like you're fucking like evil. You people are just like disgustingly evil and bad people. You have like
Relax.
no awareness.
Relax.
No, it's no, dude. I'm a person. There are people talking to you right now.
You can just shut it off, man. You don't have to do.
This is going too far. I don't feel comfortable with this.
Daniel, what the fuck? Like, I actually consider some of you people like friends. Like, but you couldn't give a shit less about anybody. There's something fucking wrong with that.
Hey, Detroit.
Hey. Wait, is that the real Sean?
I brought it up because it was fucked up.
But I wasn't trying to be a cunt just now. I think there was just miscommunication.
No, I don't think you know how to not be a cunt.
Detroit, can you go through the many interpretations that we could have of Sean right now? Like the different senses in which he could mean cunt, maybe?
Well, so one way, which was popular in the literature until, then if you want to talk about that thing at some point, I'm free whenever.
Okay.
I don't know if you want.
No, I'm still working on it.
Detroit, did you ever get to read the note?
The what?
The notes.
What notes?
The ones that I took on the Jillian Russell paper.
Oh, Jillian Russell. No, I didn't. Why did you come to any more conclusions there?
Yeah, kinda. Well, I think that, first of all, no, I don't want to say there are new conclusions. I think I still stand by what I said, but there are some mistakes that I made in the notes that I noticed that I wanted to correct.
I was trying to think about it. This might be good. I just made an announcement in my server because I'm going to be doing, when I hit it, a 2K, like, AMA video. So, like, a few other channels, possibly channels have done this, where they, like, take questions and answer them in a video on the channel. Like, KMB did this a few times. I just see a reason. So, if you want to include something like that as a question, I could answer that video.
Sure, I could probably ask you some questions about... Well, first of all, I think it all hinges on me having, like, a normative understanding of metasemantics.
Right.
So I'd probably have to look into, like, arguments for that first. But... let me log in. But if you assume, like, a normative understanding of metasemantics, then I think that second premise, in this, the implied premise, the implied second premise in your argument, is going to be problematic, definitely. The one that says that any of the entailments of the semantic and syntactic specifications of a logic are going to also be descriptive, given those are descriptive. I think that's going to be a problem for that premise.
Yeah, I have to look at it, but I'm thinking, like, so your point was that there could be metasemantic facts that are normative?
Yeah,
And the fact that those are normative and are an entailment of semantic facts.
Are there an entailment of certain semantic facts?
Yeah, because semantic facts are included in like meta-semantic facts.
And do the semantic facts entail relevant meta-semantic facts?
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
And basically, given that...
Why would that be, though?
Wait, what?
Why would the meta-semantic facts be entailed from the semantic facts?
Or I guess you could say implied, because the set of semantic facts are going to be included in the set of meta-semantic facts.
Meta-semantic facts include, like, basic semantic facts?
Or the semantic...
I guess I'm not sure what we're capturing in meta-semantic facts, then. I assume that would be facts
so, for example,
about meaning, not, like, just particular meanings or something like that.
So if you have, like, a semantic fact, right? Say, I don't know, this apple denotes some fruit.
Well, the word apple, right?
The word apple, I mean, yeah. The word apple denotes some fruit.
Yeah, and that's a semantic fact. A meta-semantic fact would be some fact about, like, what meaning is or something like that.
Yeah, so
not
like
about particular meaning.
Know what it does, right? But
yeah, so I'm just wondering why you would get some entailment of meta-semantics from certain semantic facts. At least I mean, even if you get some, the point is you need to get the relevant ones, the normative ones, if you have some normative.
Right, okay. Because it was my understanding that, for example, with the apple example, the word or like the word apple would pick out some kind of like some particular fruit, but that of course that whole thing, the semantic fact, will be included in the semantic fact about the meta-semantic fact about the apple, right? The word. You know what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying, though?
Not exactly, but I'll have to read the thing you post.
So if you have, like, with the apple example, right? If you're understanding, like, you can understand, like, for example, like a conditional statement to be like A. If A then B means that A is a member of set, like set A is a subset of set B, right? And so, of course, if you have like a set of where am I going with this? Okay. It's better to just go back to the example. So like I said with the semantic fact in which apple picks out a particular kind of fruit, the meta-semantic fact about apple will include the semantic fact because you're making a claim about that fact. You see what I'm saying? So that fact is included in the claim about that fact. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, are you saying that certain semantic facts will be entailed by certain meta-semantic facts because there are facts about those facts?
Yeah.
Well, that's potentially the question. But even if so, don't they have to get you the other way, right? You need the entailment going the other direction, from the semantic facts to the meta-semantic facts. Even if you have meta-semantic to semantic.
Yeah, I
know. But this all feels like a bit of a mess to me.
No worries.
Sean, are you better now?
Sean's alright, don't worry about it.
I wasn't too much worried about him. I just wanted to make sure he took his medication.
This is the kind of shit, man. Like, it's not a joke, man. Like,
I'm not joking.
No, I'm not in like, no, I don't have like the best mental health. Like, so don't fuck with it more. Like, what make you want to do that?
Asking? I'm being genuine, bro. Like, did you take your shit? Are you calm now? Like, are you ready to like join?
No, dude, you're a fucking troll, dude. I've had arguments with you too, like, but I don't fucking try to gaslight people and try to say they're like fucked in the head. I don't. They just want to fucking talk about shit, like talk about philosophy and shit. That's all I'm fucking interested in.
Sean,
but you people just like
so many people on this app.
Dude, I have what?
I said you slandered so many people. You can dish it out, but it
Like
just
who?
seems like you don't want to.
Like who? Like who?
Like all kinds of people. Like you just
Name
fucking
one.
slandered Godless girl earlier today, calling her a fucking cunt. Like, what do you mean?
What is slander? So yeah, so
It's okay, Sean. It's okay. Don't hurt yourself.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like that's like it's
Bro, maybe you shouldn't be so fucking easy, Sean. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe you shouldn't be so easily triggered. Have you ever thought about that?
no, like that's bullshit. Like,
dude, you're a grown man.
You get triggered. You get triggered way more often than I do. You're a little bitch. You like believe in a fucking
but like at the end of the day, you don't hear me.
You believe in pantheism or something. You don't know what. You don't know anything. You don't know anything.
118, you're a pantheist?
What do you think? You fucking know better than that.
You're like a weird theist or some kind, but you don't know anything about anything.
Right. See, this is what I'm saying. Like, you can dish it out, but when shit gets real, I mean, you want to fucking, stick your thumb in your mouth and start crying and yelling and screaming and be like, I'm a fucking person. Nobody gives a fuck. This is real. Like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck your feelings, bro.
Yeah. Fuck your feelings then.
That's right. Fuck them with the 10-foot pole. Like, it doesn't bother me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you
It does bother you. It does bother you. It does bother you. It does bother you. You're another one of my trolls. Yeah, you follow me around and freak out. No, you don't. You freak out all the time.
Well, most of the time,
follow me around and freak out.
I avoid rooms you're in because I can't stand.
No, you don't.
Okay,
follow me around just like you are right now. Yeah, the only reason you're up here is to talk to me. The reason you're up here is to talk to me.
I moved into
I felt like he was just trying to provoke you, and I don't know, it's just a waste of time.
I'm trying to bring you up there. I don't know why it's not working.
Okay, I invited Jack. Seemed to work. For Jack, your new headset's working?
I don't bash people. I don't spend my time, like, going after Mo, like, telling him he's a stupid fuck that shouldn't be around. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, and he's mentally ill, and he's always complaining about liberal politics and people saying words that he doesn't like. I don't care about that. I don't focus on shit like that.
Yeah. Michelle's spelling lying 118, just saying.
Let it go and talk philosophy, bro. Maybe I would if you would leave me alone. You just got my fucking account banned because you couldn't fucking leave me alone, dude.
Yeah, it's funny. Wait, is John Lee's picture is like a joke, right?
Probably not.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, any reference, whether it involves God or not, to the, veracity or validity of your own reasoning is going to either be explicitly circular or implicitly, in the sense that you're assuming that the inference you're drawing is valid based on your own reasoning.
Did you get triggered,
So
Destroyer?
No. I'm just pointing out how it's like stupid, right? Because it just has nothing to do with God.
Wait, Detroyer, what I said was stupid, but I'm kind of seeing something new now. Can I talk to you later?
Yeah.
Mo, why are you trying to defend yourself in the fucking comments? Why don't you be a fucking man if you actually are a man and speak to me man to man? It's just weird, bro. You're fucking, like, it's just weird talking to someone who's typing in the comments. Are you scared?
What do you need from me, bud?
Say what you want to say to my face.
I don't really have anything to say. You called me up here.
That's why you wrote all this stuff. Let it go and talk philosophy. I didn't make death threats. Just move on.
Yeah.
Would you make me comfortable if I wasn't here? Sean, would it make you feel more comfortable?
Yeah. Would you feel more comfortable if I left the room?
Yikes. Lol, all this shit that you said earlier. Yep, it's a joke. It's just internet talk. I unblock him so he can get into GG rooms. I don't stalk him. It's pure cope. He used homophobic slurs. I'm just reading all your comments, dude. You have a lot to say for somebody who has nothing to say.
What do you need, bud?
Say all your shit to my face.
I said everything that needs to be said. What do you need? What do you need to move past?
Yeah, you said it in the comments, so nobody else can hear.
But everybody can read the comments. What do you need? People want to talk.
I need you.
Philosophy,
I need you.
Some kind of conversation.
I need you. I need you to stop constantly messaging me and asking me if I'm okay, if I need help, because that's not, if I'm having a meltdown, stop commenting.
You sound okay, Sean.
I'm not okay.
Okay, well then you talking to me is not going to make you more okay.
You leaving me alone is going to make me more okay.
I'll never message you again. No.
Okay, thanks. Can you also stop insulting me in every fucking VC I'm in? And when I'm in the middle of fucking having conversations with people?
I don't think I've ever insulted you in any way, but fine.
Can you stop blocking me and unblocking me randomly?
Sure, Sean, no problem.
Actually, can you not block me at all if you're going to be in all the fucking rooms I want to go in?
Sure, I'll never block you again.
Can you stop writing heckling little comments in every fucking VC that I'm in?
Yes, no problem.
Can you apologize for all that fucking shit?
I'm sorry, Sean.
Are we taking requests, Sean?
From what?
I got some requests from you.
He asked me what I want from him.
I'm not allowed requests from you?
Did I offer anything?
John, leave him alone. Like, he's going through something. Just leave him alone.
Okay.
How to argue on the internet without losing your mind. Mo, you don't argue on the internet. You don't argue anything. Is that how you argue on the internet is that how you argue on the internet without losing your mind? Just never make an argument?
You're absolutely.
Is that how you do that?
You're absolutely right. Would you be more comfortable, like, moving forward if I let the...
Oh dear. Room ended.
Art thou that repliest against God? Shall the thing formed say to him that formed it, Why hast thou made me thus? Has not the potter power over the clay?
It's funny how you started bitching at me because I gave you mods. Oh, I think the room ended because I think Clubhouse is just like, okay, they're not these people aren't gonna stop. We're just gonna have to end the room for them.
Yeah, maybe. I'm gonna go to bed. He doesn't need to hear any more from me tonight.
Good night.
with you. This is a common misconception with almost all Americans because of poor education and one letter that Thomas Jefferson wrote. And in that, you have to explain why Thomas Jefferson didn't even practice this when he was actually in politics in multiple different roles. And you can look at Boston, for instance, and then ask yourself a question, how integrated was the church with Boston? And then look at that and ask, how could there possibly be a separation between church and state when you look at that? I'm not making the argument that we don't actually advocate for the ability of separations between a state-sponsored church and the state, but there is no mandate in the Constitution. There's nothing. It's a made-up proclamation when people say there's a separation between church and state. We're simply talking about the actual ability of state-sponsored religions.
The government, in fact, subsidizes all claims of religious institutions by making them tax exempt, right? That is the government allowing a religious institution to not pay tax.
Of any religious institution, not just one.
Exactly.
Right?
So it's to the exclusion of one. That's what the goal is, to prevent that. But everybody else, bring any belief you want, right? You can be a Scientologist, you can be a Zoroastrian, throw anything you want out there, Hindu, Muslim, otherwise. You are entitled, right, in the democratic process as a citizen to vote based on your conscience, right, which could be based on your beliefs. And as a politician, you can bring you can cite the Bible as much as you want as a politician. There's nothing in the Constitution that tells you you can't do that or you should stop doing it.
You can use religion as political ammunition to make gains and et cetera, et cetera. But for a random state like New Jersey, as much as I can try.
I agree. New Jersey is a random state.
Yeah,
New Jersey never gets any love.
I can corral all the Christians in New Jersey, get them under my belt, and say, all right, we're going to turn New Jersey into a theocracy. That's not happening.
Correct.
Whereas in other countries, there is that melding of political frameworks with religious frameworks, which has an implication on all kinds of spaces like education, medical advancements, literacy. That has an implication. Let me just finish this point, and I'll turn it over. That has an implication on having someone, a little girl who's 8 years old, to even come up with the potential idea that say, hey, maybe we shouldn't think of the Quran literally as a criterion. Maybe it's a good foundational spiritual basis or a book, but maybe we shouldn't. That thought is, you can say theoretically could possibly happen, but in reality, the probability of it happening is almost zero in these countries because of the suppressive nature of these ideologies in these countries. And I think that's where it goes into like the glossing over, like, oh, anybody, it's free thinking and free thought. In practice, that's probably not going to happen. Just because it's possible, it doesn't mean it's probable.
I think you have the right idea, but I think you actually have the wrong way you're getting there. The ability, and this is another thing people don't realize, is that when you're in like England, and it's actually the best example because realistically, our whole idea of government is separating ourselves from England. But when you look at England, they don't believe the actual sovereign is the actual citizens. They literally believe the sovereign is the church, and through the church, the people that represent the church is actually the king or queen.
I'm not really care about the church history there in the UK because, to be honest, that's why we left, and that's why we're more awesome.
Well, yeah, I mean, the reason this is somewhat important though is because there's a big difference between in a state that believes that there's an elite sovereign, the church, and then by the way, I'm a Christian, so this is really important to understand, like, understand Christian values in America and why they differ from European values in some senses is because we believe that God has actually made us sovereign within us, versus if you look at England, they believe that the only sovereign is the actual queen that represents and cares for the church. So the only reason I think this is important and worthwhile to talk about is because
once again, you see the actual marriage between two institutions, and one that oversees the other institutions, versus the United States, where they say that there can't be a state-sponsored institution. That does go against the actual principles of the United States. It doesn't mean that the United States can't support nonprofits, support churches, support religious events. In fact, we do it all the time in the United States. I have plenty of examples of things that happened last year, and then I can show you examples of history where we've actually literally had states that had basically handshakes between them and different types of churches. I really encourage you to look at Massachusetts history, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But the reason I think this is important is
that goes back to Rashad saying that just because we have this framework, that we didn't live up to this framework, hence slavery and the Constitution.
no, this isn't the same thing that you're conflating. This is completely different because, like I said, you have to understand the intent of the framers when they actually wrote these things in the Constitution. And then you have to actually understand the history that comes around them and the framers themselves. This isn't the same thing. This is literally over the course of a period of time, people actually getting the actual history wrong and then saying things that's just not true within the United States. And I'm not advocating for the church to be in control of different states. I'm just simply saying that you have to have the history right before you actually can say some of these things.
If I'm not mistaken, Prophetic, there are still blasphemy laws on some state, legal
Massachusetts.
I think, yeah, Massachusetts seems like it's going to have
very liberal state.
But yeah, right. But I think Prophetic, the idea, right? Earlier you said something, and I hope you dig into this a little bit more, because it seems like Afghanistan is a popular example for you. You said no. You said that I said that Muslims don't co-sign right on the Taliban, and that's true. You can cite Muslim clerics, you can cite the consensus of Muslims, etc. You know who does co-sign on Taliban rule? Take a guess.
I mean, that's really why. Just tell me.
The United States government, right? The United States government is the very institution, right, that made it possible and came to an agreement with the Taliban to take back the country, right? If there's one group, if there's one institution, if there's one power behind why the Taliban are still there, right, it's the United States government. And that's by the admission of the United States government, not by some conspiracy theory.
I would love to have a separate room just on that topic because
the people of Afghanistan, from every corner of the country, right, have been struggling with Taliban rule for over 20 years, right? They came up as an institution that was supported again by U.S. funding covertly through Pakistan. Again, not conspiracy, but documented, right, and public information. And further, the other example of Saudi, which seems to be really popular, again, who's funding Saudi? Who's funding the Saudi government? What gives them the authority and the power to stay in place? It's not the people, right? It happens to be a foreign institution.
Financial implications of the UN power.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
So when it comes to the Saudi stuff, I mean, we get into country by country if you want, but when it comes to Saudi, of course, countries will look and make justifications when it comes to oil, energy prices, and their own self-interest.
Yeah, so it doesn't seem like we care so much about democratic values and human rights as you were articulating, because we all not only turn a blind eye, we directly fund these foreign institutions that are the primary violators of these human rights that we're supposed to be upholding.
I would say be careful with the word "we," because while if you pay taxes, you automatically fund these things. Yes. There is an element of no, we don't support these things. Just because we acknowledge them doesn't mean we co-sign on these things. Going back to the whole separation of church and state and that piece is that the basis for the separation allows for these engagements to happen where we could enter into religious political worlds while still having to acknowledge and respect the fact that you can't step beyond this line. Now, have we stepped beyond that line in the past, like what Philip was saying? Yes. And the parallel I was trying to make, Philip, was that we have this political framework. We fail that framework, and we are corrupt. And just like every country is corrupt, we fall short of that political framework. But by and large, we're not going to be seeing a state in the
Yeah, you threatened the physical violence against Mo.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's an empty threat. It's hard to hurt somebody over the internet, right? Break their feelings.
Sometimes.
Right. Why are you doing?
We all had COVID. I think I already told you that, though.
Yeah.
Oh, there's that Mike guy. Hey, Mike.
There's also Russia influence. There's also China influence. So, but my point is that in other countries, like there's always going to be shadowy conspiracy, and
It's not a conspiracy, buddy. I'm telling you about facts here, not my shadowy conspiracy. Of what's possible because I read it on Facebook.
Don't take that as a poor phrasing. I meant like there's always going to be black ops from countries doing power plays. That's not a statement that that region is saying we actually do believe in this melding of church and state because we're participating in your country, we're upholding your country, we're putting your people in power. No, they're just corrupt power plays. It's nothing more. So when Trump is negotiating with Taliban, he's not co-signing the Taliban. He's doing a power play to do certain things that he thinks will be beneficiary to his base.
Now, if Sean were here, he would say this sounds like a little bit of politician speak, right? Like when you say he's not co-signing, well, directly funding, directly writing a treaty with this particular institution. Power, and here's the money that's going to make you run. Like, what does that even mean? So we're not even giving lip service to the fact that they're violating human rights anymore. We don't even give lip service to the fact that Saudi is killing its own journalists, right? We're not even speaking to it in a public sense anymore. It's almost like, hey, the cards are on the table. Let's stop pretending like we're against, their human rights violations. And the flip side of this, which I think is interesting, Prophetic, that you're not looking at, is when it comes to human rights violations, who do you think is one of the largest violators of human rights across the globe today? That's not a trick question, right? The U.S. has consistently, over the last 100 years, violated the human rights of people in South America, across the Middle East, across Asia, in Europe, like in Africa. So we can't just say that, hey, we are the bastion of human rights. We stand up for these human rights and these values for our people, but everybody else, you're not human enough for us to uphold your rights. Right? We're going to bomb you. We're going to suppress you. Any view that you have, right, that we deem not valuable, forget that. We say that publicly, but really it's a question of will you give us your natural resources or not. So you're only a human if you bow down and provide us your natural resources. If you don't, well, bye-bye. We're going to sanction you. Your kids are going to die from poverty, like the 500,000 kids that died in Iraq. We're going to come and bomb you. We're going to instill dictators, right, to suppress you internally. And then when that dictator is no longer working with us, like Saddam, then we're going to come in and bomb your country to smithereens, your infrastructure, everything. I mean, like, you got to take a moment a little bit and expand whatever content you're reading regarding history, and especially modern history. Don't go that far back. Maybe you're going too far back, like thousands of years. you'd be surprised at some of these things that you're holding as like, this is who we are and this is who we should be. It's not the reality that anybody else is observing.
I mean, so I don't want to have my overview of these things misaligned. There's a great book called Confessions of an Economic Hitman,
yes,
which talks about that process of how they do that in a strategy like the World Bank, and doing it not just with missiles and bombs, but with debt and all those things. So I'm well aware of those things. I love coming back to the religiosity of belief sets and how that coincides with human advancement. And there are people who hold on to holy scriptures. And by the way, a lot of the things you mentioned before about the how America looks at other people and only as just like what kind of raw materials can we get from them. All that is like duh. Like, I'm never arguing that. I'm going back to the topic of the religiosity of it, of how while we're not doing like, hey, we're Christians, and as Christians we're going to invade your country, everyone knows we're doing it because of power play. We're doing it for those empire reasons. But when it comes to the religiosity of and political frameworks, by and large, Western countries, those who have that separation, are doing overall better than countries who are holding on to it, holding on to archaic views based on scriptures that they cannot question. Overall, are there political plays that enable that separation? For sure. But again, going back to my example, that 8-year-old girl in that majority Muslim country who's going to spearhead a revolution in Islam is almost zero, because the framework is so tightly integrated with culture, religion, and politics that the independent thinking will not be nurtured and nourished enough for that young girl to have a platform to lead that revolution. It will be squashed. That fire will be snuffed out, and you might have that one exception, like Malala Yousafzai, but also there's another one who went to Holland. Really dark complexion.
The problem, Prophetic, is that what you're identifying, right, this hypothetical, I'm not even sure why you're rendering it anymore. We cited the examples that don't have to do with people, with those Muslim majority countries adhering to the principles of Islam. If you know now that there's a principle of prophetic teaching which is directly advocating for learning from the cradle to the grave, that the Quran advocates that someone should seek knowledge. If you have all these concepts and there's no distinguishing between men and women in this field, like the history of Muslims and Muslim women contributing and being key players in the educational and this is a really interesting example that you're mentioning, this hypothetical. Aisha, right, the wife of the Prophet Muhammad, was one of the most prolific teachers of the legal tradition of Muhammad. And further, she went out, right, against another political, not adversary necessarily, but as a leader of a political campaign, right? So I think sometimes you're citing these things, these hypotheticals, because you believe some things about what Muslims are and aren't. But if you just read a little bit more of the history, you might end up with a different view about what's taking place. I think the thing that I also hope you recognize is that this religiosity concept that you're articulating is not exclusive to the people that call it religiosity. The system that you're speaking about, human rights, right? This is a religion, and the advocates of this religion are doing jihad, right? They're doing holy war on the people around the world that do not adhere to this religious set of beliefs, right? We have articulated this doctrine of human rights. We've come to agreement on it, right? We've enshrined it, right, as part of our scripture, right? See, I'm using this language to show you that there's parallels here. Just because you don't call it the same thing, It's exactly what humans are doing on the other side, right? So I don't understand why you're creating this artificial distinction. And for the last thing is, I just don't get what economic prosperity has anything to do with values and ethical systems or not. Some of the most corrupt and despicable, governments and institutions in history were very economically prosperous, right? And I hate anyone that wants to just bring up Nazis for every point, but we can say from the Nazis on to any other example that you want, the Egyptians, the Romans. So why would economic prosperity be any reflection of success or some sort of truth value that they hold just because there's economic prosperity? Why did you make that connection?
Yeah, because when you have economic prosperity, there is a correlation between economic prosperity, self-agency, and a system where the level of corruption is at a certain threshold where, by and large, someone can do X and then the rewards of Y. Whereas so there's a correlation between that. In terms of upward economic mobility, you're way more probable to move up the economic ladder than in other countries for obvious reasons.
You're saying that's true about the U.S.
And that's a correlation in general, Western countries in general. So
I mean, again, prophetic, like each of these points, it's like as though you're not reading or studying the subject and you're just kind of regurgitating a point that you might have heard somewhere. Go talk to the majority of people living in the U.S. What upward mobility does the farmer, right, that can't make minimum wage, that has to hold multiple jobs to feed his family, right? What upward mobility do they have in their life? They're not being killed by gangs in some country that they left.
Yeah,
Where's the upward mobility?
I think they prefer that, Rashad. I think they prefer having to fight for their economic reality day to day through, career adjustments than having to pay off, use whatever cash they have on hand to pay off a cop for a routine traffic stop.
What are you talking about? They have to pay off cops here as well. They have to pay off immigration officers. They have to pay off corrupt. It's as though you're not living in this country. Like, are you from the U.S.? Are you reading the news of governors that are dealing in arms and taking bribes? Like left and right, the U.S. politicians are being arrested for corruption, and you're telling me that in some third world country, that's where the police officer there is taking people's money.
I have a friend who used to live in Russia, and every stop a police will make, you're paying the cop off. Every single stop. I need to ask you, have you ever been stopped by the cops in this country and you had to pay them off? Has anyone in this room had to pay off cops with cash, or else they would do it?
Is that going to be evidence of anything pathetic? When I can cite for you countless news accounts and convictions of politicians as well as police officers, not only did they take people's money, they took people's privacy. They raped women, right? The LAPD has a disgusting history of abusing its right as law enforcement. Like, again, what exact world are you living in that you're unfamiliar with this information? It wasn't a secret in the past, and it's very public information now. I'm just not sure why you're not aware of it.
As if I don't live in this country, I don't read up on these things, I don't know these things. And when I compare it to third world countries, and your romanticism of the struggle of what the average person goes through versus the stark difference. I'd rather be broke in this country than to be broke in the third world country that is under a Muslim Sharia law or whatever Muslim political climate it is, because there is stark differences in what that struggle could be. In this country, it's going to be being broke in this country is different than being broke in Nigeria or being broke in Malaysia.
Why are you saying that?
Well, the reason I'm saying is because you're coming off and saying things like, what are you talking about? As if you don't live in this country. What about this thing and that thing? Let's be really clear. If anyone here would rather swap spaces with anyone in these other countries that, let's say Afghanistan, raise your hand right now. Put a thumbs up in the chat.
What is the point of this exercise, Prophetic? You're identifying problems in other parts of the world as though those problems don't exist here. I'm citing for you evidence and cases of the same problem existing here. So what is better, the problem there or the problem here? Why would the problem here be better because it's here than the problem there? When you say a broke person, a person that doesn't know what they're going to eat for their next meal, what do you think is different for their experience living in, in the U.S. versus Afghanistan or some other part of the world? They're both experiencing hunger. Why is it better to be hungry in the U.S. than to be in Afghanistan?
You want to know the difference? Because here's the thing. Because here's what you're doing. You're trying to create this false equivalency and trying to minimize the reality that Western cultures that have a stark separation of religion and personal freedom, and trying to conflate that as it happens there too, it happens here too, when it's really different in the sense of scale and depth. Yes, corruption's everywhere. Don't try to gaslight me and try to tell me as if I don't know that corruption's everywhere. Rape happens in immigration services everywhere. Yes, but let's be really honest. When it comes to the depth of poverty, if I'm quote unquote broke here, I can go to 3 different nonprofits. I get on social health welfare benefits, and I can find some food banks. And I can get by temporarily. It sucks. It's hard. And there's no way you can going to say that, oh, I'm dismissing or minimizing. I'm describing the difference between a country in Western society that deals with these things as a direct benefit of having a separation of these systems. Whereas in other countries, which I've been to, these countries, Honduras, Nicaragua, Mexico, and then the countries that are majority Muslim, these social benefits aren't systematized, institutionalized. The education there is not made readily available in those areas, and as a result, the society has taken a hit. And I guess to summarize my point is that I am waiting for, just like the Christian religion had a reformation and kind of broke away from like the elitist controlling what the faith was actually, what that faith actually is. I am waiting for the Muslim religion to have their own reformation and break away from certain traditions and breakpoints. And when you talk about Muhammad and his wife, what's your thoughts on pedophilia? Because didn't Muhammad take on a 9-year-old as his wife? And do you think that is something that is problematic?
Yeah, I have a feeling that your line of questioning would end up here. It became obvious what sort of sources you were referring to. Let's break down a few things, okay? The point here isn't for you to jump around and cite everything that you're reading from an article about why Islam is bad, right? The point here is the premises that you're building from, which is the separation of religion and state. We already established that doesn't exist. Never has and currently does not, right? The problem with what you're articulating is, though, because of this non-existent separation of religion and state, Western society takes care of its poor, and another society like a Muslim society, even you could take Afghanistan, which seems to be a popular example for you, because of their religious belief, they won't take care of their poor. How does that follow? Right? Nothing. So 1 second, Prophetic. Nothing in the Western society's legal system requires anything of taking care of poor or not. Those institutions were fought for by people in this country who recognize the plight of poor people, because the institutions in the U.S. were never built for anybody except the elite. So if you want a reformation, I'll land, Prophetic. I'll land, Prophetic. It's not going to take that long. I'll land. If you want a revolution and a reformation, you should start with the U.S. system. It's always been an elite system. It's always been to serve the wealthy, and it's always been to serve particular racial classes. That's been the case in the past. That continues to be the case today. Now, with regard to a Muslim society, yeah, with regard to
You're full of
Muslim
shit.
systems,
Fuck you, you fucking liar. Fuck.
yeah, so I don't know how that's going to be constructive to this conversation.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys want to remove them or not. So these other institutions that you're talking about, right? The fact that there are poor people there and the countries are struggling, right, to provide for those poor people. Here, everywhere in the world where there are Afghans, they're trying to raise money to help those Afghans living in Afghanistan, not because the country, but not because the religion doesn't want that. It's because the religion encourages people, right, to help each other and to help the poor. That's a fundamental principle from within the religion. You know why the people in Afghanistan are struggling with poverty? Because there's an outside institution that put into power, we talked about this already, a particular government that has become a pariah, right, for good reason, but sadly, one second, Prophetic, I'll land on this. Sadly, the case is that
Sick of hearing that apologetic from Islam. Hebrew roots. No thanks.
Peter and Paul, did you agree with that? The sky is blue. Do you have a reason to believe anything at all? Is there a basis for you to even invoke reasoning? Yes. As something that's reliable? Yes. Okay, good. Now, there are preconditions for reasoning, right? That in which, if you were to invoke reasoning, I missed that. Hearing? I'm not as patient as J. Robin. I'll just remove you down if you're going to continue to speak over me. Well, I'm trying not to, but there's no pause. Like you said, things that I try to answer. Okay. Yeah. So it doesn't follow that because you have a bias and you choose to believe certain assertions from one camp, that again, that these biases that you believe are valid or true. That's Strawman, one camp, not one camp. I try to see what history says, what a lot of the historians say. No, there you go again. So not one camp. Like, I think you're implying that I get it from a Christian, not a proper Christian in your view. And I just looking at it now, it doesn't make any sense. And I want to have a good conversation about it. I don't want it to be contentious, but my impossibilities of evolution even being possible, because, and I was actually listening to Greg Bunson on this, and I've heard this before, and I was listening to a lecture from Greg Bunson, because Haiti and Tom Rabbit and them admit presuppositional apologetics is the best argument.
So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go, I'll study up on it to make you guys happy. So I was listening to a lecture from Greg Bonson on it. And Greg Bonson,
You kind of got a little bit. I can't hear you.
process to have a justified belief. So I asked him, what's his falsification process to demonstrate human cognitive faculties are reliable enough to understand truth? And he had no answer for it. He ended up, I don't know if he ever actually admitted it or not, but some people on the stage admitted that, yeah, we just assumed that. And then I asked, okay, so what is the justification for even assuming it? Because I've seen theories out there, and, you know, where they talk about, oh, theism was just a byproduct of evolution.
Again, and contacts the larynx. Okay, and they say, well, this is bad design. No, it's not. But I mean, just use one handsome picture after another. I don't know how much Clubhouse can take.
Well, they used my picture today. They helped in our survival. So I just asked him, I said, well, how do you know you're still not having delusional ideas? It's just benefiting your survival, but you're not even anywhere close to truth. And they admitted they couldn't answer that question. So,
but we said nothing about Richard Dawkins talking about appendix. What we were talking about is they will find certain features of anatomy in humans or in animals, like the recurrent laryngeal nerve that comes down from the spinal column, branches off into the heart, and goes down, branches off to the larynx, and then it goes down to the heart, comes back up again, and contacts the larynx. Okay, and they say, well, this is bad design. No, it's not, because these nerve locations can be for the purposes of permitting embryological development. So the bottom line is that they're only thinking it's bad design. Okay, all design features have trade-offs and benefits, and what one person considers bad design, another person doesn't, because they have a different end goal. So this argument against the recurrent laryngeal nerve or the appendix or other features is all because they have an anti God of the Bible bias, and want to say, well, if your God is omniscient, an omniscient God would have created that way. Well, they're not in a position to assert or defend it. So,
okay. Appendix, from the way we understand it through the science, is like this. It just exists in you. If it is removed, for example, no damage done to your all your physical body images or whatsoever. Nothing can be damaged. It can be removed. But if it bursts, it will burst.
You know, listen to me. You know, my brother had one of his organs removed. I think it was his spleen. Okay? He's still alive today. You can have your gallbladder removed. Okay? That doesn't mean they don't have a function. Okay? One of my close relatives had their gallbladder completely removed, and they were fine. They didn't even have to change their diet.
So yes, and you know how painful it is when someone has a gallbladder misbehaving, for example. But look, I know how painful it is.
Look how well atheists can function with half a brain. Isn't that amazing?
What kind of atheists do you know that do not have a brain?
I said half a brain.
Have a brain simply because they do not have a belief.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a joke. It's a joke, Ringo. Okay? The appendix. Did you hear what I did you hear me say? Did you hear me when I said what the function of the appendix was?
The function of the appendix, in my own independent finding, is that it.
Did you hear what I said?
I don't know. Are you a scientist?
Did you hear what I said?
All right.
Okay, let me leave this state because you already warned me that. Did you hear what I said about the appendix? Now there's a real rocket surgeon for you. Yeah, I thought you were giving atheists a lot of credit for saying half a brain there, Darth. I might have pushed back on that a little bit more, but I decided not to. While we're here, Darth, I was in the other in Jeff's room earlier, and the other Jeff, the Dr. Jeff, and I know you know who he is. Yeah, but both of them are Jeff the Liars. So there's Jeff the Liar number 1, Jeff Trimble, and there's liar number 2, Jeff the Physician. So Jeff the Physician, and I knew you've addressed this argument before, but he was talking about evidence for evolution, and he goes back into the retrovirus argument. And I'd heard you talking about it before, but he was saying that the retrovirus provides markers and shows that we've evolved from a common ancestor. And I was wondering, I can't remember what your response was. He's conflating the data of genetic sequences and conflating that with the interpretation of it. Look, up until a few years ago, many genetic scientists who were of the evolutionary persuasion, including Francis Collins, the head of the Human Genome Project, declared that the non-protein coding regions of the human genome, which comprises the overwhelming majority of the genome, was junk DNA. Because of further investigation and testing, they're finding out increasingly that this is false. Now, it may be the case that in certain lower organisms, like microorganisms or even some plants, there might be what we call polyploidism, where there could be a mixture of genetic material from another organism that then loses its function. Okay? When you have organisms that reproduce very quickly, like microorganisms, you can accumulate some junk DNA, right? That's understandable, and I don't think anyone would debate it. But to say the whole human genome, except the protein coding regions, is junk, they were flat out wrong. Now they want to tell us that certain small sections, are markers of heredity. Well, all you have to simply say to them is this: these common sequences are from random mutations, and that when you say that, they will object that it's too improbable. But if they do that, they shoot themselves in the head philosophically, because if they're going to reason by probability, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. If those small sequences are too improbable of occurring, then the whole genome, even allowing for 13.7 billion years and an unimaginable number of Earth-like planets, there's not enough time in terms of trials for mutations to even produce a couple of rudimentary proteins. Okay? So when he talks about endogenous retroviruses, this is just more misinformation. Now, are there retrovirus insertions? I'm sure there are. But the fact that there are certain sequences that they label as a retrovirus isn't necessarily the case. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know enough about that to understand what you're saying, but I'm sure it's more sensible, far more sensible. They told us that human chromosome number 2 was formed in a fusion. I think as chimpanzees, human beings have 2 fewer chromosomes than chimpanzees do. So what they're saying is, there was a fusing of human chromosome number 2, and they point to certain genetic sequences that they call telomeres, which are generally markers at the end of a chromosome. But when you actually read papers on it by believers who have PhDs in microbiology, they will tell you that these coding sequences do not necessitate that these are telomeres that mark a fusion site. Okay? Number 1. Number 2, even if human beings had 2 more chromosomes and there was a fusion, that doesn't necessitate
that we have a common ancestry. It would just simply mean is that we both share the same number of chromosomes, right? So they run fast and loose with the evidence. They pile on their conflation, their extrapolation, and then they present the extrapolation as though it was hard, indisputable data.
And then when that data ends up falling apart, they very rarely ever acknowledge that they made a mistake. James Tour said one time, I think he said scientists don't admit they make mistakes, they just die. And that was his comment.
It's interesting because one of the great philosophers of science was Thomas Kuhn, who wrote a great book, which I've yet to read, but I've heard great things about it. It's called The Structure of Scientific Revolutions, where he said, science doesn't make big leaps by individual discoveries. It makes big leaps by paradigm shifts. And he says what it usually takes within the history and development of science is for the old guard that clings to some old paradigms is to die out when the new guard may be willing to accept a new paradigm and use that as a new interpretive filter. So we have a lot of people that are suffering from the Dunning-Kruger effect. You know, not that I think I'm superior or, you know, have a higher IQ, but they just don't understand even the basics, you know.
Yeah, and to see people just accept these absurd ideas and theories without even questioning them. And then when you ask them questions about it, you can tell they've never thought about it. And they just have no answer for it other than, well, you know, those answers for it, you just need to study it. I'm not a biologist, go ask them or something like that.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to announce that Uncle Joe Bro has entered the stage.
Thank you, God. I really take that title, really. Uncle
Joe Bro.
Wasn't that hilarious, Bojo, how he was just going after you, wanting you to say Darth was a racist, and then he referred to you as Uncle Bojo? Man, I couldn't believe it. When he said that, I was like, are you kidding me? You just totally undermined your whole, what is that? What is the word when you're trying to pretend you have a concern for something, but you don't really? There's a term for it. I can't think of it right now, but he was... paradigm. No, it was something else I'm thinking of. Virtue signaling. Yeah, you know, it's kind of, virtue signaling. Oh, you know, we want to solve this thing. And then you when giving your opinion, your view there, and then he was calling you names, accusing you of being dishonest. Here you are asking a guy for his opinion, and you're not letting him actually share his opinion here. You're wanting to go after him, and I just thought that was absurd.
I thought it was funny simply because even Tom Robbins pointed out that you're really defeating your whole point here. Not only that, but the guy, I mean, that actually what he did say was totally racist. You know, at least I consider it to be racist when you tell a black person that they're a sellout. You basically say you're a sellout to your race simply because I disagree with his opinion. And that's amazing coming from a white guy, which is like, wow, it takes a lot of guts to say that.
They didn't. So was that video recorded? I'm sure it was. I could tell the frustration from Tom Rabbit after you left. He was really frustrated, and then somebody else came in and told this guy, I forget his name, that he, you know, basically just gave you an out by referring to you as Uncle Brojo, and they were frustrated with him because they felt like he just kind of dropped the ball, and he was trying to defend his position, and they kept saying, well, you kept interrupting him, you need to let him just talk, and he's, oh, no, I couldn't, I had to respond to these things, and you could just tell it was like a deflated hot air balloon just lost all its air. After you left because you pounced on when he said that, you pounced on it, and at that point it was just over, and he had no grounds to accuse to say that you're wrong when he himself used something that was racially inflammatory by referring to you as Uncle Mojo. And he's not the first one to do that. They were questioning Veckel one day on it, and then someone referred to Veckel in the room as an Uncle Tom, and just totally undermined their whole. Annihilated it when they said that. Yeah. Well, I think actually Veckel had left after that, and I actually pointed it out in the chat. I was like, "What?" And I actually asked him one time. I said, "Seems like you guys aren't really concerned with racism. It's just more of a entertainment type value," and that's pretty much what they admitted. There's more just entertainment for them to get videos, because they'll openly admit that if they could get Darth in their room to have a one-on-one debate with someone like Jack, they would roll out the red carpet for him. Despite him being some sort of terrible racist, I guess. So, our segment is all it is. There's nothing more to it. And it's so interesting that they're doing this. And they're asking every Christian they could possibly find to give them some sort of help with this campaign. And that's why I joined, because I knew that, I said, listen, I know that he doesn't have any evidence. And then I think I was in the discussion that I don't remember fully, though, but I think I remember something like that. And that was not racist, okay? People have the right to use words and not be called a racist. He wasn't, this is not, come on, really, please. I thought they were going to use the hard, I thought Darth was going to say the hard R, and that's what I kept expecting. The hard R is a little bit harder to excuse. The hard R is a little bit harder. Exactly. And that's exactly what I was expecting, but it wasn't. And at the end, I'm like, what? Really? And then even the guy, that was it. And then Tom Rabbit actually agreed with you, thought you made a reasonable response. So it just ended up kind of backfiring in their face. Well, and you're right. And then ultimately concludes with him using some sort of racial inflammatory thing. This is what they did with Clarence Thomas on the Supreme Court. Because there are black people that don't fall into the mold that they expect us to fall into, because they really think that we're cotton-picking, chicken-eating, watermelon-loving black people who love grape juice as well. The irony of it is this whole thought, they get upset. It exposes their actual implicit racism is what it does. And every time these conversations come out, that's what it actually shows, because they don't want you to have a different opinion than what they want, and they think that they need to convince you to change your mind, like as if you can't think freely. And that shows implicit racism on their own part. That's true. That's 100% true. I didn't even think about it that way. Wow. Yeah, that was a fail. I didn't even see Tom Rabbit upload it. It must have been that much of a disaster that Tom Rabbit didn't even try to go and put it on his channel. Wow. Yeah, it was an epic fail. You could tell the frustration in their voices after that. They were just really frustrated that nothing come out of it whenever you left. And I was just kind of thought it was funny listening in from the crowd. Yeah, and another thing is, why is it that they think that we all have to get on stage and answer for why we associate with Darth? They didn't like the answer, but what would you do? I said, well, I do whatever is necessary to do. And when I stopped talking, I've had attraction with people that were racist. I really stopped talking to people. Now we got to preach the gospel. Now we got to refute them. Now we got to, so long as somebody started about kill all the Jews, then we're going to have a problem if we're talking like that, but, it's so ridiculous. No one actually takes this thing seriously. And Tom Rabbit says, okay, the individual pieces of evidence weren't effective. So why he has to say there's a conglomerate, or there's such a large amount of things to pick from that it becomes overwhelming to the point where you have to assume Darth is racist. But no such thing exists. Particularly if you take into account how many years Darth has been doing this. Yeah, you think that they would have just, 15, 20 minutes of montage of just Dart saying stuff on video or something. They don't have that. And even some of the statements that they said Dart said, they seem to imply that Dart said them. And then when you go back and listen to the replay, it wasn't even Dart that it was even making the statements fully. It was someone else, and then I said, well, Dart agreed with it. That Dart was on stage with him. I was like, okay, well, if that's the standard you want to use, I've seen you guys on stage with people and let them in your rooms who have actually gotten kicked out of Clubhouse for making racial comments and had to come back in with alternate accounts. And I can think of a couple or at least one right now, and I know of another one as well who I haven't seen back. But both of them have been allowed on the stage after, making certain statements that were racist and things like that in the past. So the irony of it is just, it's just a double standard, and they don't want to admit that. And when I point stuff out like that, or somebody else points it out, they just ignore it and act like it's not there. Yeah. But anyway, I think you can nail the head when you saying that they are basically being implicitly racist and getting the stuff that they expect you to say, is the fact that they don't think that you're able to think freely for yourself, and then given the fact that once you say, I take a different stance on this, they basically, who are not black, are willing to tell you you're a sellout or a compromiser. Not only that, when I referenced the N-word and said this is how people have used it throughout history, it doesn't mean that's how everyone uses it. We obviously know it's not the case. And then I go into every dictionary just to show the urban usages of the term, not the official definition. It is the case that black people have used it to mean that. And yes, there are white people that call white people N-words. I mean, I literally just saw a video my cousin sent me 2 weeks ago that I could post, where a white woman is walking down the street calling a bunch of white people N-word. And it was ridiculous. But it wasn't, she didn't have a racial bit. Now, could a person say it to inflame racial passion and not be racist? Yeah. But that, again, they did not have the evidence that they wanted to have to make the case that they wanted to make against God. They don't have the evidence. They have sound bites and snippets that don't include the entire context. Yeah, and if it was so obvious, they would have a lot more than that. But, I have... Yeah, and what is this meaning of getting an answer? Can you hear me, Bird Joe? I can hear you. Can you hear me? Yeah, I don't know if I was losing you. I saw you come off your mic, but I couldn't hear what you're saying. But I was asking